This is the Rebel Scum podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You're always scum. Rebel Scum.
I love that we're both muted. This is the Rebel Scum podcast. I'm James. This muted guy over here is Brock. Did I mute your mic? Or I can't unmute your mic.
Did it.
333 episodes of perfection.
This is James. Okay, that's what I said. Welcome to the ever-ending sinking ship that is our podcast. We're here to talk about Star Wars. What's new in Star Wars?
Oh, man, not much has happened since our last podcast. So probably we should say goodnight, everyone. You know what? Monday, we were going live with Heidi, executive producer Heidi, and we had a topic. And like an hour before showtime, word got out that the popular Acolyte television series was canceled and would not be back for season 2. So we ended up pivoting and doing the show based on that. But Brock, you and I haven't really talked about this at all. And I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. By the way, that shirt you're wearing is pretty awesome. Yeah. But I don't know if you know that Kenobi's head is chopped off where your head starts. So Kenobi just has like your head is Kenobi now.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, where is he on here? Here he is. He's down here.
Hey, Obi-Wan. Anyway, yes, your thoughts on the Acolyte.
So you texted me and I ignored you, not because I hate you. I mean, I hate you, but like, no, because 3 to 4 people, I think that day texted me the Acolyte is canceled and they weren't you. Like, I was just like, if it had just been you, I'd be like, oh, that sucks. But the amount of people that, like, I think we've said this before. It's just like the amount of people that look at me, and I'm sure it happens to you, James, where it's like, I didn't really like that. I'm sorry. I'm like, I didn't work on it. Like, I just watch Star Wars and I enjoy it. Am I overly shocked? Not really, because it wasn't a success. Like, as much as we try to defend it and try to like look for the good things, it's just like, people didn't like it. No one was talking about it. You know, like outside of the stands for Chimere and Osha. Like I think I don't know. I know. I mean I talked to Desi and Heidi about this. I don't know who's actually talking about. You know what I mean?
Like outside, I've known a couple people outside who have watched it. Some thought it was okay. Some didn't really care for it. I think it was. I talked about this Monday, obviously, but I think it was a tough pill to swallow. Like it was, I don't know. The writing was just so all over the place. It just felt like, and if you look at the ratings that came out on Deadline when they announced the cancellation, like it opened at number 7, which to me is disappointing for Star Wars. Star Wars has got to start stronger than that. But then it went up to 6. And when it went up to 6, though, that was that god-awful 3rd episode. And then after that, nobody came back until the finale. Like, everybody was like, we're gone. And then the finale was number 10. So even the finale didn't get enough people for it to really do well. So, yeah, like, I mean, we can complain. We want more of this, that. We thought they did well here, there. But at the end of the day, people just weren't gravitating to it. And I've seen some people be like, well, if that was the case, then Breaking Bad and The Office and all those shows wouldn't exist past season 2.
Yeah.
But I don't agree, because Star Wars, it's season 1, but it's Star Wars. Like, the Star Wars brand should have made it more powerful than it was.
Yeah.
And I just think it didn't grab people the way that Star Wars needs to. And look, there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of things I show I didn't like, but there was a lot of things in that show that I thought they were in the right direction of. And I'm like, I would have liked to have seen more of certain aspects of it.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll do that in other avenues. I don't know. But I mean, yeah. I mean, look, you spend $180 million on 8 episodes and nobody's watching. Of course you're getting canceled.
It's just wild because, you know, you and I talk about this a lot off podcasts, or off record, off pod. It's like it doesn't necessarily need an hour episode. It just requires a story that is engaging, right? And
Yeah.
it had its moments, but like I even said, like as much as I like this and want more, uh, there was just sort of like my question is, what is the story about, or what was the point of this show? And like that's unclear, right? So
Yeah, and maybe when you're not promised a second season, finish your story in the and maybe if you have a bigger story to tell, have that underline, but finish something, like give us an ending of some sort.
Yes.
And yeah, like when it ended, I said to you on that podcast, I'm like, what was the point of watching that?
Yeah.
Oh, the same with Ahsoka. Like it's not just Acolyte. Like,
No,
you know, like, but why did I watch the Acolyte? Why did I spend how many weeks? 7 weeks, 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Why did I spend a month and a half watching something?
Yeah.
If ultimately you're not going anywhere with it.
It's like when it ended, I was like, "Oh, I think like it might be better with the second season." But now I'm almost done rewatching Rings of Power because the new season starts soon on Prime, and it's just like those episodes are long, and it's
Yes.
Tolkien, so it's like the ever oppressive minutia of all the details and what have you,
Yeah.
and it's just like I don't hate it. Like I'm excited for this new season, but like. Rewatching it is like a journey, like to
Like
Mordor. It is a journey. But like they put so much in there, and it's just maybe the length is because they're like, we are giving you every little detail to this character, to this group of people, and that's kind of what Acolyte was missing. Like I think I said this on pod. It's like the lightsaber battles are like they start great, and you're like, wow, and then they're just done. Like it's just like if you're gonna give us extra, if you're like 20 extra minutes of lightsaber battles in there, maybe some people's opinions would have changed. You know, like Kamir versus Soul in the last episode, they're like, we're flying in the air, and then the battle's over like 2 minutes later. I'm like, why did you spend money to make you look like Hidden Dragon Flying Tiger? It's like Crouching Tiger. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, it just seemed odd, but it's just like, it's disappointing. I'm sure these characters will live on in like books and comics, so nobody's ever gone.
Yeah, the people who loved it can go watch them on there. And look, there are things about it, like I said, I would like to see more of the Chimere character for sure. Like that was, I don't know why the show didn't focus on him more than anything like that. Like, but whatever. This is didn't, and it is what it is. But you're right. Like I said, I watched the Batman show and the Ninja Turtle show, and they're 22-minute episodes, and they were, you know, look, they might have their shortcomings and whatnot, but the length of time wasn't one of them. Like I never felt shortened. I never felt like the episode was cut short. I felt like I was like, oh, that was good. And if I wanted to pause, I could pause and come back in a week or whatever, and I would feel like that was fulfilling. Whereas the Acolyte, the first couple episodes, I think I felt that way. I know a lot of people didn't, but I kind of did. But then after that, it was like especially episode 4. Like episode 4 to me was the most disingenuous thing you can do to an audience, where you're building, and then you get to where you want to go, and you're just like, stop. Because like they stopped it, I think, at the wrong time. Like if I think if you would have ended it earlier, people might have been a little bit more. I mean, still not, but it was just, I don't know. And I think, and this is the problem with, I think Disney Plus as a whole with the Marvel shows might have this issue as well. I don't watch them as much, but I think Andrew's mentioned where it feels like they're just chopping up movies into parts instead of just making a series.
Yeah, I think you're right. It seems bizarre. Like I think we said this before. It's just like you got this money, why? And you made a show that's probably a little bit more work than a movie. I don't know, but like it's like you could have just made a movie at the same. I don't know.
What I don't get is like is I know Bob Iger came out and said no movies on Disney Plus for Star Wars, no Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. But here's the thing, which makes no sense, especially then he left, and there was, I guess that was still the MO. But what I don't get is like, okay, Mandalorian and Grogu, obviously I want to see in the theater. I'm not saying I don't, like, I prefer in the theater, but characters like that were introduced to through streaming, can't you make a streaming show from those? Like, couldn't you do Mandalorian season 3 as a movie about Bo-Katan or something? You know what I mean? Like yeah. I think when the movie is, again, I want to see Mando and Grogu in the theater. I'm not saying that, but when a movie is based on a character that we were introduced to through a streaming series or a series, I think you're okay to make a straight to TV movie about that character, which is what a streaming movie would be in this case. Yeah. Like, I think you're a little bit more justified to do that because that's where we know that character from anyway. So I don't know why. Like, the Acolyte, I guess, is a little different, but I think it would have benefited from being one big long movie, and maybe end it also.
It's funny because it's like I kind of get not making movies or Star Wars movies directly for Disney Plus, but like I don't. It seems odd. If anything, it kind of makes me think of like there are anime shows, obviously, that then become movies as well. Like their series, and then they'll do like Dragon Ball does it, Demon Slayer does it, and like during COVID, Demon Slayer was like #1 in the theater because like they were like, whatever, here's your movie. If you don't watch it, you don't watch it. It's like so like. TV could be a definite breeding ground for the next thing. And I know that's not really what you were talking about, but it's just like if you can get your fan base in the TV show, then you can go make a movie. Like, granted, then like people that don't watch the show walk into the theater and are like, what is One Piece the movie? Like, they're like, maybe they'll go see it. I don't know. Because like from what I gather in that situation, it's like it's its own movie, but like it also takes place somewhere in the storyline of the show. So it's like, I don't know. Maybe Star Wars can't work that way because it's Star Wars. It starts in theaters, and it's like, I don't know. I think it's like when it comes to movies and TV, it's like you don't know what's going to be a success, right? Like it's just like what's Cloverfield? Like maybe not the greatest example, but like nobody knew what that was. They just saw like a random like 10 Cloverfield Lane was even more like, what is this? I'll just go see it. And then you're like, oh, this all attaches to the thing. I mean, obviously, if Cloverfield and Cloverfield Lane, you're like, there must be a connection.
Well, Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane was the best trailer because it came out of nowhere. And the reactions was just like, what is this? And like, I don't think we're ever going to get that again because everybody needs to know everything. I would be okay if like, imagine like this Ray movie, they finish shooting it and we just get a teaser and you're like, oh, I'm in. Oh, and it comes out next month. I'm like, let's go.
I think that's a problem. That's a problem with the movie industry. It's like, when things are coming out because a big part of it is like putting it in a specific spot.
I like Deadpool and Wolverine is making $1 gazillion, great movie and everything, but I didn't need that trailer at the Super Bowl. Like, I don't need you to tell me. I don't need you to show me anything 6 months before a movie comes out. Like, it's just, I don't know. And you know how I feel about buying tickets 3 months in advance. I hates it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense anymore because it's like generally most theaters when you order a ticket, you book a seat. Yeah. Like, I think it's becoming more and more popular. I live in a fairly large city, so it's like all the theaters basically.
I don't think do they have theater? Maybe the one like a two screen, 1 screen theater, but I think most of them are you buy your seat now.
I believe so. Yeah, I mean,
which I'm all about. I am all about. Yeah. I don't miss those days of going to go see The Dark Knight at midnight and having to be there at 8 p.m. and stay there for 4 hours. Like, so you get, don't miss those at all.
Yeah, like in that, like the midnight screens were like, isn't that where it started, where you could choose your seat? Like,
I think it was somewhere around there. I remember my parents went to the Philippines in 2009 or 10. I think it was 10, maybe 9. And they're like, you get to choose your seat. And I was like, what? We need that here. And my dad, like, he doesn't watch Milan, but he like, I'm going to the theater because I could choose where I'm going to sit.
Exactly.
Like that. Like, and now I'm like, I finding your own seat and all that is. If I never have to do that again, I'll be okay.
But yeah, like I don't know. Returning to the Acolyte thing, it's just like my question is, they cancel Acolyte. Will it stay up on Disney Plus?
Well, that I don't know if you saw the big shenanigans that happened yesterday, but all the Acolyte merchandise was removed from the Disney Plus or the Disney store, store online. Now people are speculating, but they're also saying that they only had limited stuff there anyway. Like
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of Acolyte stuff, and I think Hasbro just announced a Vanestra Black Series figure also.
Yeah, they did.
So I think it would be tough to get it off there unless it really is costing them a lot of money for the bandwidth. Because I mean, they got rid of Willow, Jeff Goldblum. There's a lot of shows that they have gotten rid of,
Yeah.
but nothing as high. Like Willow's the highest, but the highest profile is definitely Star Wars. If they did that to the Acolyte,
Yeah.
because then the question becomes, is it still canon? Like do those events matter? Like if you went to Lucasfilm and you're like, I want to pitch a movie that takes place 800 years before the Phantom Menace, where they're like, well, remember this thing that happened here that we removed. So Heidi brought up a good point that they have the Ewok movies on Disney Plus. so I don't know if they will get rid of it, but I asked that question too on Monday, and I'm curious if it'll stay up for a while and then one day it just quietly isn't there anymore. You know,
and then the problem is what happens to it. You know what I mean? Like, granted, maybe people never want to watch it again. Maybe they never want to watch it again. But like, Star Wars has a fan base and people that's rabid about its content or its like lore. If it stops existing on Disney Plus and doesn't exist physically, what happens to it? You know what I mean? So it's like, does this now make it like, well, I mean, I'm sure there's digital copies of it on the internet because that's how the internet works, but it's like, do those like digital copies of files that you could somehow get a hold of, like, do those become like collector's items because you're like, oh, I mean, I guess it's like a reverse. No, not a reverse. It's almost the exact same thing with the Christmas special where we're like, that was a bad idea. Let's erase it from the earth. It's like, it's not, I don't think Acolyte is anywhere near as bad as the Christmas special, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like, because wait, is the Christmas special on Disney Plus or just the?
No, it's the only thing that's not on Disney Plus.
Right. Yeah, just like the Wookiee cartoon.
Yeah, like everything else, Star Wars is there, but it's the only thing that's not there. So yeah, you might be right, because also if you you're going to Fan Expo, you're there right now actually as we're recording this.
Yeah.
As this is airing. But if you go, you'll be able to probably. I mean, I don't know this for certain because I'm not there, but you're usually able to find the despecialized versions of the original trilogy, right? You can find someone who's selling the original versions of Star Wars on like Blu-ray. Like it's not like it's on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So yeah, and they're not expensive, but they're not cheap if I remember correctly. Like they're somewhere in the middle of like, I'm overpaying, but I'm not overpaying. I'll be okay with this. And maybe the Acolyte turns into something like that if they get rid of it. But if they do, I think it'll be quietly get rid of it in like a year or two. I don't think it won't be now. It'll be in a few years that they'll quietly get rid of it. But they're having books coming out about it, comics coming out about it. So I think maybe you leave it. And part of me was thinking maybe they let this story get out in the hopes that people will go in and watch the Acolyte to try to save it. Because I don't know if you know, you don't go on, you're not online a lot, but like Twitter and stuff, like the Star Wars account was like shoving the Acolyte down my throat for like a week or two. I'm like, the show's been off for a while, and they kept throwing like the Acolyte, and I'm like, really? Like the show kind of came and went. You're not giving me anything new. You're just telling me the Acolyte is streaming. I get it. And they were really pushing clips, pushing characters, and things like that. And so yeah, it wouldn't shock me if maybe part of their plan was, let's see if we can get people to go watch it on Disney Plus now if we say that season 2 is canceled. Because you know what you can do easily? You can say, oh no, wait, we're actually going to do a season 2 because the fans cried out and they wanted to bring it back. I don't think that's going to be the case here, but
anything is possible. Sonic loses his weird teeth in his movie. Anything is possible. That as you were saying that about Twitter, I was like, I'm not a Twitter person, but I love Instagram. I'm like, do I follow Star Wars on Instagram? Just did it. I was like, nope, no, I
I don't
do
know.
not.
I don't know if they did that on Instagram or not, but I know Twitter was like there was a lot of tweeting about the Acolyte, and I'm like, geez, you're really pushing this one. Like, really pushing the Acolyte.
It makes me kind of want to get an Acolyte T-shirt just to have it, sort of thing. But like I don't know if you remember, I had that one like Death Trooper shirt that was like Rogue One, I think.
Yeah, I remember
I had that
yeah.
like just like it was on like a
Yeah.
gray shirt, and it was like just the stenciled sort of look, like almost like the old style Star Wars, sort of like '90s Star Wars logo sort of thing. Like that would be cool to see that in an Acolyte shirt. So as you were talking, I was like, can you buy Acolyte t-shirts? You definitely can from like the t-shirt stores that people just make anything,
But nothing official.
Walmart has the Acolyte shirt, but like Walmart's website drives me crazy because it's really just another version of eBay or like Etsy.
Yeah,
People
like
just
Amazon,
sell
yeah.
on there. You can't go to
Yeah, I wish
store
you streamline it to
online.
just get like the store, like what is in the store. I wish you could streamline it like that.
Oh,
Because I think Best Buy is similar. Best Buy does that. If you go on Best Buy, I don't know if anybody does it.
yeah.
Best Buy is the same, where it's like this is Best Buy, this isn't Best Buy, and you don't know what you're getting.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Oh, so let's move on to our topic, Boba Fett.
Oh yes, I was confused about that in the rundown. I'm like, did he misspell Acolyte? Like,
No, because Tim Morrison came out and he had an interview and it got misquoted, I guess, and misinterpreted. But he basically said he was supposed to be in season 4 of the Mandalorian, but season 4 is now a movie, and he hasn't heard anything about the movie. But he's also kind of saying like it also. I think the truth is the character is up in the air based on the reception of that show, of the Book of Boba Fett show, which is a show that I love.
yeah.
And and honestly, I think even if you're not a fan of that show, I still think that character is salvageable at the end, like the way because that show, for all of its flaws, unlike the Acolyte, it had an ending. Like it wrapped up. It was like the point of the show is to do X, and they did that in their 6 episodes or 8 episodes or whatever it was. So I think you can bring Boba Fett back to just being the badass that people want him to be if you feel that way. That being said, based on that, do you do a second season? Probably not. And if you do, you call it something other than the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe you call it like the Trials of Boba Fett or the ebook of Boba Fett. And you do that. But I don't know. And I tweeted the other day, I'm like, as much as I like that show, Brock, I don't know how you feel, but did we even really need Boba Fett post Return of the Jedi? Honestly, like, did we ultimately, like, if we never see him again, does it really matter?
No, that felt they did a great job. It's like, yeah, okay, I love this, but as of right now, there's no rationale for doing it outside of fan service. Because like, why? Yeah, no, it's like there was really no reason you could have. They have several Mandalorians that could have just be put not in that role per se, but just in that spot, and they could have it. I think that story was good, and I think I've said this a million times. It would be interesting if instead of Mando being like the leader of the Mandalorians, if that is exactly where they're heading, it's like Boba Fett could have been a good sort of thing, because they talk about like the fall of Mandalore in Book of Boba Fett, I believe, right? Where they show like the explosion. Isn't that Book of Boba Fett?
I think that's the Mandalorian episode. Yeah, the episode.
Yeah,
4.
like which is
Yeah.
It's the Mandalorian. But like, you know what I mean? Like, why mention it in his show when the next season in Mandalorian is all like Bo-Katan, and easily she could be that person. That could be a very interesting story. Bo-Katan and Boba Fett fighting it out for who's going to be in charge of Mandalore, and then Grogu and Mando are in the center. Like that could, maybe not a movie, but maybe like a 4th season of Mandalorian. It's like, oh, that would be fun. But I don't know. Fun fact: Tamora Morrison's in Toronto this week for Fan Expo, and he was supposed to throw out the first pitch at the Jays game on Monday, but he had to cancel last minute.
Because he was like, "Oh, the Jays."
my director was like, Tamora Morrison was supposed to throw it out. It was like, and they're like, everyone's like, who's that? I'm like, that's Boba Fett. I'm like, oh my gosh, that would have been insane. Not that I would have met him, but it's just like, look.
You would have met him. You would have like ran on the field. We know how you operate when these majors. Between him and Huck Tua girl, that's who you're all about. Weirdest summer. Yeah, I'm in for more Boba Fett, but I also like I know people get mad at fan service, but Star Wars is all fan service. But at some point, like I thought he was going to show up in season 3. Like I thought that's what would have made sense, but he didn't. I mean, he didn't need to show up in season 3. Like they didn't do anything for him, but I don't know. And I don't know anything about the Mando and Grogu movie. I don't know what it's about. So if it makes sense for him to be there or not, I have no idea. So it's hard to say one way or another. But it's weird. Like if they're like, if they're not going to use Boba Fett anymore because of the reception of the show, that's crazy. Because I believe the Mandalorian show, Favreau wanted it to be, I could be misspeaking here, but I believe he wanted to do a Boba Fett show. And he was told, no, we're not touching that character. And then I guess because of the success of Mandalorian, they were like, okay, you can touch that character now. That could be, I could be wrong there, but I vaguely remember that. So I don't know. It's weird. It's just, I don't know. It's a character. I was never like the Boba Fett. I was never in the Boba Fett fan club.
No, me neither.
And that's why it surprised me that I enjoyed the show so much because I guess, I mean, he never was a character. He was just like a stunt. You know, he looked cool. He was a costume.
He was an action figure.
Yeah, he looked cool. Jango Fett had a little bit more to do, and then he was a child, and then so I thought it was fun. I'd like to see. I don't know if I'd like to see more or not. To be honest, I'm so like on the fence. And like, if you bring him back and do something cool, if not, I'm also kind of cool with that. I've got my, but again, I was never in the fan club, so.
And it's scary to like try to push too much onto the Mandalorian Grogu movie because it's just like. It's like their moneymaker right now in Star Wars. Yeah. Like it's not the be all end all Star Wars thing, but it is what is successful. So like,
and I think when you look at season 3, what people didn't like, I think this movie, $120 million is what they're spending on this movie, which is $60 million less than they spent on the Acolyte, which is like $100 million less than they spent on Andor. And it's 15 million more than they spent on Book of Boba Fett. I think they're gonna trim the fat around it, and I think we're gonna get a Mando and Grogu heavy movie that's not gonna rely on. I think we're gonna get other characters in it that we know and love. I don't know who, but I don't think they're gonna rely on cameos. They're not gonna rely on this. They're gonna give it to us when it makes sense, when it fits, and I'm gonna say this, Brock. I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be the best Star Wars movie we'll have in 7 years.
It's the only movie you've had.
How dare you? How dare you?
Isn't it funny that joke is like that'll never get old? It's like you're my favorite son. I'm your only son. Like, it's just like that's just always funny. Not hysterical, but like it's just like that's funny.
It always works. It always works. All right, you want to go to the odds?
Let's do it.
Odds time.
Possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Where do you think that number came from?
I feel like it's some like it's like you know how what's his face George Lucas loves like the TK whatever like from his original film. Yeah, like it's probably something stupid. It's like somebody. It's like it's Anthony Daniels original phone number backwards or something. Never tell me the odds. Brought to you and me and James, but not Rob or Andrew.
Andrew's out. Andrew's going to be hosting Flying Casual on Monday with Heidi. So if you want to avoid a show, you know what you do, because Heidi's in it. You cut your screen in half and you put a towel over Andrew's half so you don't have to see him. That's what I don't know if you can mute half a mic or not. Andrew, you're not canon. We love you.
You're not kidding. Anyways, if you like what we do, go support us at patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast, because that's where we put all the extra things we do. Please support us. We love talking Star Wars. It's the best thing we do. And yeah, we try to give as much interesting content as possible. So support us the best way you can. just like the lovely people that support us already, like Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Dale Erdman, Phil Staniforth, Rez, Scott D, Josh Price,
Matt W, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Denon Nerds, Disney, Desi, Charlotte Rompesek, and Jeff Wilson, your Patreon. Thank you so much for all of your support. You help us get through Star Wars every week. Never tell me the odds. Fennec Shand will return to live action before Boba Fett. Fennec Shand before Boba Fett.
Say that again. Fennec Shand
Will return to live action before Boba Fett.
I like you. He added live action because she technically already has come back. 75%, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like they're like, we can do whatever we want with that.
that's true. Yeah, I'm gonna go 53%. Yeah, because maybe they go their separate ways, or maybe we get a movie that something that takes place before. She probably shows up in Skeleton Crew. Let's be real. She's probably hunting Jude Law in Skeleton Crew. That's probably what they're doing right there. And next, let us know what your odds are in the comments down below or in the live chat. Next, Boba Fett is secretly in Mando and Grogu. Is Boba Fett actually in the movie? Tamara Morrison just cannot say it, and he won't say it.
I think so. I think that's 80%. Because like that whole story is like, he's like, well, I'm not in it. But it's like, so was what's his face?
Daphne Keane and Andrew Garfield and
Yeah, exactly. So like, I'm gonna go. The funny thing is, like, if he didn't say anything, we wouldn't even be talking about Boba Fett. Like, I don't even think we would be like, why isn't Boba Fett in this movie? But I'm gonna go 85% because he said something.
yeah, I don't think I would miss Boba Fett if he's not in the movie, to be honest with you. But I'm gonna go full Brock. But I don't think I'd miss him because, well, I mean, now I'd be like, is he in it? Let's check it. He's in it, which is gonna ruin part of the movie. But I'm not. And our final line today, sticking on the pessimistic side of things, Alden Ehrenreich will not return as Han Solo. Alden Ehrenreich is done as Han Solo. He's a one and done. He will no longer be portraying Han Solo ever.
Never say never. Nicolas Cage is technically Superman in two different things. So I'm going on what Disney's doing right now, or Lucasfilm is doing right now with Acolyte. I'm going to go 99% because it's just like
yeah, I'm gonna go 77%. Exactly the way that they're working with the Acolyte, the way they're treating things right now. Solo wasn't a hit. Who's easy to blame? The guy who's playing Han Solo, who's not Harrison Ford. You're out of here. But the Lando thing might still be happening with Donald Glover. So maybe he shows up in that. I doubt it though. I think unless it's a cameo, but then he would be. But I'm gonna go 77%. Let us know what your odds are in the comments below. Brock, it's time for top five.
Top five. Standing
Top
by.
five. This top five came to us from executive producer Heidi Feder. I was going to save it for a separate show, but we're not going to have time to do it. Top five Star Wars what ifs we would like to see. Top five Star Wars what ifs. What if? Mine are not very good, but my number 5, Zam Wessel succeeds. What if Zam Wessel? What if she killed Padme? So that's my number 5. The whole thing changes, and then we get the Book of Wessel.
That's I love it. I'm gonna modify my 5 to something similar to yours. It's like an episode that's just a throwaway. That's like a joke episode. Like, you know how there's those like memes where it's like, you have to come with me to Alderaan to save the princess, and like Luke says no, and it just says written and created by George Lucas. Like, imagine just episodes of that where it just instantly stops people don't do anything. That's the what if. And then like one character's like what, or like it's like they pulled George Lucas in, like he's like, what the hell is happening? Like, and it becomes a story about him trying to write things, and it's just like, that's not what I wrote.
Have you ever seen George Lucas in Love?
No, I remember when
You
it
got-
came out. Yeah.
I have it on iTunes. You gotta check it. You gotta see if you can find it somewhere. It's I don't know how long it is, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes, whatever it is. It's fun, it's clever. I like it.
Yeah.
It's old now. It's really old now. I can't
It's
believe how
very
like
old,
it's Shakespeare in Love old. My number 4 is the sequel trilogy was planned out.
That's similar to what my idea then. Yeah. I like that.
If they just planned the damn thing out.
And it's like he's just like, where's this all going? And you just see a picture of Grogu on his like
It's-
corkboard. You're like, wow. My number 4, I don't like without going into huge details. I'm gonna do the one that we always kind of want to see. It's either Luke becomes evil, or Leia becomes evil, or Leia is the actual chosen one. You know, I know that's very vague, but like, I feel like the first story they would ever do if they did a what if is like, what if it was Leia instead of Luke? What if they both became evil? What if they had known they had a father the entire time?
Yeah, you're right. They probably would start with that one because that's such like a. I was gonna put what if Anakin never turned to the dark side, but I felt like that was too obvious, so I didn't go that route. My number 3 is and this is the rumor that there was going to be when the movie came up. But what if Kitster was Boba Fett? What if Kitster was Boba Fett? Could be the greatest thing to ever happen in the history of cinema. What if Kitster was Boba Fett?
Yeah. I like that. It would like no one would care, but like for people like us, it'd be like, yeah, that's
Brilliant.
nice.
Brilliant.
I'm gonna do something. I feel like they're all gonna sound the same, but it's like what if Han hadn't come back in A New Hope?
Well,
What
Luke
if he
would
didn't
be
come
dead.
and shoot Vader and Luke gets blown out and the Death Star doesn't destroy it? Yeah. What if?
Imagine when they shoot Han, one of the ties miss, and it actually goes in and destroys the Death Star. No, that's a good one. I don't think I've heard anyone talk about that. Like, what if Han doesn't come back? What if he just goes, pays Jabba, and never returns? Why didn't he go and pay Jabba? Because if the Acolyte taught me anything, Brock, it's like you can get anywhere in the galaxy in half a second.
Exactly.
Acolyte taught me that, and Ahsoka and Kenobi taught me that lightsaber stabs mean absolutely nothing. Diddly squat. My number 2, Rey Skywalker turns to the dark side. What if Rey turned to the dark side? That would, how awesome would that have been if halfway through, let's say, The Last Jedi, Rey turns to the dark side? Like, it's just like we get the full Anakin, but without knowing that Anakin's coming. That'd be pretty. I'd be all in. I'd be like, get me more Dark Rey, because that part was awesome. And I think I have the Dark Rey Funko Pop somewhere. I should probably sell it. Who wants it? Give me $20.
So which one are we on now? We're on
2.
What was my number? Oh yeah, number 2. My number 2 is going to be what if Yoda stopped Palpatine? And that by that I mean, because it's never really directly said, but like we kind of get the vibe that Yoda isn't shocked that Palpatine is evil or whatever, or Yoda's just like, I can't interfere because I can't stop everything. Like, what if Yoda just stops Palpatine before he even gets to Anakin, sort of thing, or even like young Palpatine under Plagueis, like something like that would be kind of interesting. It's like, what would happen? Because inevitably, I think an evil would come along anyways and do something, but like that would be kind of interesting.
What if he beheaded Palpatine in the middle of the night one day?
Yeah. Or even wins, and they have a lightsaber battle, right? Yes, they do.
They do, yeah.
What if he stops him right then?
Yeah. What if Dooku killed him when he was having Dooku killed?
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good what if.
Or the reverse. What if Yoda dies in the prequels?
Oh, no. All right, and I've got the greatest number 1 of all time. My number 1, the whole fate of Star Wars depends on this right here. What if Ben Quadinaros won the pod race? What if Ben Quadinaros won the pod race? Star Wars wouldn't exist. There would be no anything. And because I think Watto bets on Sebulba. So the bet is like moot. There's nothing. They all go on their separate ways. Qui-Gon, I think they're stranded on Tatooine forever. The end.
The end. I'm gonna say, I don't know if this is number one status. I was gonna say number one status should be like, what if 3PO and R2 land on a different planet? But I feel like that's just sort of kind of what I said with number 4. It's like, what if, or if Han
Well, I mean,
misses.
it is a what if. I think that's the whole point of a what if.
So
Though,
it
is
could
what
be
if?
interesting.
Yeah,
It's like, what if like the good guys don't win, but like what happens to that character when they whatever. But I'm gonna say, what if Padme does not die from sadness?
Oh,
What it like, it's like it doesn't necessarily change the fact that Anakin maybe doesn't go crazy if she's not dead, and then he doesn't fight Obi-Wan, but like, what if I can't even remember how it plays out now? Like, she dies. She's not dead when they face off.
No, she dies
really
after giving birth. She dies
Yeah.
from a broken heart. But then Leia might actually remember
Yeah.
what her mother really looks like for real.
I think it could be twofold things. It could be a what if Padme stands up to Anakin, so he like he's like, oh, maybe you're right, or just like speaks reason to him. It's fine, we'll figure this out. Or she doesn't die in childbirth and then raises the twins. That's kind of interesting, and then becomes like a member of the rebellion or something like that, or is the new Mon Mothma or whatever. That would be.
Yeah, that would be cool. Isn't there a deleted scene where she is kind of joining the rebellion, or she's with the rebellion in Revenge of the Sith?
I think so.
I think there is. Those are our top 5. Let us know what your top 5s are in the comments down below or in the live chat. That was a lot of fun, Brock.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're heading to Fan Expo. Or you're at Fan Expo all weekend. Anything super excited about seeing there?
They haven't said it, but it's kind of hinted that they're going to show the first episode or parts of the first episode for Agatha all along, and Catherine Hahn and Joe. I forget, he's like one of the new characters in it, but he's like from that one show. So they're bringing those people in just for this. Like they weren't announced as guests; they're just coming in for this panel. So I'm like, the likelihood is they're going to show something. So that's exciting. And I'm going to do an interview with Michael Hirsch, who is one of the heads of Nelvana Animation in Canada. That now Nelvana has been rebuilt to the other thing, but was like animation back in the 90s that also created I always forget what the title is, like the Woeful Wookiee or something, the Boba Fett cartoon from the Christmas special. That he is one of the creators behind that. So he's doing a panel and I'm gonna get an interview and be like, hey, what is it like to like make all the stuff that is in my so that should be, and then more Star Wars stuff.
More Star Wars. We'll have a lot of fun with that. We won't be. Maybe we can put that up next week. We won't be doing a podcast next week. We're taking a week vacation. Andrew's back on Monday with a flying casual with Heidi. And there'll be more stuff. We'll have a lot of fun. And then Brock will be back. Hopefully the week after that we can figure something out to do. And then we'll be back normal. And then the Jays are making the playoffs and probably going all the way to the World Series.
Oh, totally. What if the Jays were good?
Your schedule would be even harder to maintain going forward. This week was a disaster for the Jays. Well, not like in terms of time, in terms of work schedule is what I mean. Work schedule. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Give us a like and subscribe. Brock, you were always scum.
Rebel scum.
Bags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.